He was caught peeking at the alien mercenary while she removed her outfit. But she didn't stop. The bolt whizzed past Danny Riker's ear, close enough that he felt the heat singe his hair. He froze, belly down on the ridge, the recording light on his recon drone still blinking accusingly red. Below him, the alien mercenary's eyes narrowed to dangerous slits, her pistol aimed unerringly at his head. "You peek, you bleed," she said in perfect Thalos mercenary code, her blue skin gleaming with sweat in the dying sunlight. 3 seconds ago, Danny had been focused entirely on his mission, reconnaissance of a downed Reaver skimmer. That was until movement caught his eye, and he had found himself watching as the woman stripped off her armor, her breastplate falling first, then forearm guards, then tactical top. He'd been so startled, he'd forgotten to shut off the recording drone. "Whoa! Hey! Not spying!" Danny called out, lifting his hands. "Just wrong place. Terrible timing." Her pistol didn't lower. "Your recon eyes were all over my body." "Not true," he lied, trying for a disarming smile. "Name?" she demanded, stalking toward him with predatory grace. "Danny Riker, Courier Scout." He kept his hands visible. "You have 3 seconds to tell me why you're here before I burn a hole through your lungs." "Crash site pinged from orbital scans. I was sent to scout the debris." He swallowed hard. "I didn't know anyone was here, especially not an off-the-books blue-skinned killer with one hell of a trigger finger." Her eyes narrowed further. "You're not Reaver." "Do I look like a Reaver?" He blinked, genuinely offended. She eased back slightly, pistol lowering a fraction. "You're lucky I believe you." Danny sat up slowly. "And you are?" She hesitated. Ra Talon." He recognized the name. Ex-legionnaire. And somehow more dangerous in person than in the military files he'd studied. "I'd say it's a pleasure," he offered, dusting himself off. "But introductions involving firearms usually kill the vibe." That's when he noticed the dark stain spreading down her side, blood soaking through her torn tactical vest. "You're hurt." She waved him off. "Nothing fatal." "Still bleeding." "I don't need help." "I wasn't asking." Before she could object again, he was kneeling beside her, already pulling a field med patch from his belt. She grunted as he gently pulled the torn edge of her tactical vest aside, revealing a deep slash wound. His hands hovered. "I'll patch you, but only if I have permission to look." Ra's eyes locked on his. "You get 5 seconds." He cleaned the wound efficiently, sealed it with polymer foam, and pressed the med patch down. When he finished, she stepped back, retightening her vest. "Still peeking," she said coolly. Danny smirked. Then her head jerked up, attention shifting toward the wrecked skimmer behind them. Danny followed her gaze and spotted movement in the distance. "Looks like you've got company," he said. She stalked to the wreck and started pulling gear from her survival pod. "You've got a choice, Riker," she called over her shoulder. "Hide, run, or fight me." "I already made my choice when I didn't crawl away after you shot at me." And just like that, it was war. The Reaver bikes came fast, engines howling across the barren landscape. Danny dropped to a crouch beside the skimmer hull, loading the charge Ra had tossed him. "Tell me you've got a plan," he said, checking the weapon. "I do," she replied, calm as the devil. "Shoot until they stop moving." He grunted. Not exactly tactical brilliance. "It's worked so far." Ra vaulted onto the wreckage, rifle braced on a broken wing. Danny followed her up, flattening against a side panel just as the first Reaver opened fire. A bolt slammed into the skimmer chassis above them, spraying molten shards. "Guess we're skipping negotiations," he muttered. She didn't answer, just took aim and fired. Her shot caught the lead rider in the throat, sending him spinning off his bike in a spray of blood. Danny rolled away from a shower of sparks, grabbing a fallen rifle from one of the earlier bodies. Cover me, he said. You're not running, are you? She fired again, taking down another reaver. He grinned over his shoulder. I'm about to make your day. Danny slid down the hull to where a half-buried fuel cell jutted from the side. He cracked the casing open, bypassed the regulator with shaking fingers, and jammed a plasma round directly into the conduit. Then he ran back toward Ra. Move, he shouted, diving for cover. The explosion ripped through the canyon like thunder. A wall of fire engulfed the right flank of the reaver column. 2 bikes vanished in the blast. The shockwave knocked Danny flat. In 30 seconds, it was over. The last surviving rider turned tail, trailing smoke, his engine coughing sparks as he vanished over the ridge. Ra strode toward him. Not bad for a courier, she said, offering her hand. He took it. Not bad for someone who almost shot me 5 minutes ago. That was discipline, she said dryly. If I wanted to shoot you, you'd be ash. Ra looked past him toward the burning skimmer and the shredded corpses scattered across the ground. More will come, she said. This was just a scout wing. If they tracked me here, they're watching the whole sector. Danny nodded. Then we move. I've got a rendezvous in 30 hours. 6 clicks east, old comm tower. Maybe they haven't smoked it yet. Her gaze flicked back to him. You have a command there? Not anymore. They're stretched thin. Just a comm relay, backup supplies. Maybe an uplink if we're lucky. You said we. Danny didn't blink. You saved my life. I saved yours. That earns us a choice. We run together or we die alone. She reached out and unbuckled the strap of his helmet camera, yanking it off with a quick tug. No more peeking, she said, and tucked it into her satchel. He raised an eyebrow. Really? If we're working together, I control what you see. He smirked. You always this paranoid or just with humans? Only the pretty ones who think they're clever. Danny laughed, genuinely this time. So we're doing this? Temporary truce? Split the bounty if we make it. No questions about the past. He offered his hand. Deal. She turned, walking toward one of the undamaged bikes, and tossed a glance over her shoulder. Well, you're not going to peek at me riding, are you? Only if you're into that. Keep talking, she warned, and I'll tie you to the front as a hood ornament. Danny grinned and jogged after her. They rode into dusk, the twin moons rising to paint the barren landscape in shades of blue and silver. When the sun dipped low enough to color the sky in rust, they stopped by a dry ravine to refuel. Ra knelt by the fractured shale, scanning the rocks. I've been following the reavers for weeks. They're using smugglers' paths. Old Legion maps show maintenance lines beneath the shale crust. She drew a quick path in the dust. If we cut through the flatlands here, we hit their likely base in 2 days. You mean we're hunting them? Danny asked, eyebrows raised. She turned her head. You said you wanted in. I said I had a rendezvous. My mission was recon, then leave. She didn't blink. No one's stopping you. Danny didn't move. They hit a refugee convoy last week, he said after a long silence. Torched it, left the kids in the sun. His voice dropped. My brother was running evac. Her eyes flicked to his. You lost people. He nodded, just like you did. We kill them together, then we go separate ways. That's the deal. Danny looked her in the eye. Yeah, but maybe not right away. That night they made camp in the shell of an old rock holler, half buried in a dune. Danny watched Ra strip off her shoulder guard and vest as she stretched, wincing slightly with the movement. He offered the medkit again. Field patch is weak, he said. Let me fix it properly. I can handle pain. He shrugged. I'm not doing it for you. I just don't want you slowing me down. That got a smirk. She sat down, turned, and pulled her vest down one shoulder. He worked in silence, fingers brushing her skin. She didn't flinch this time. You're good with your hands, she murmured. You're not too bad with a rifle, he replied. A soft chuckle. Then quite when he was done, she turned and looked at him. Still peeking human. Danny's mouth quirked. Still curious. Ra leaned forward just slightly. Be careful, she whispered. Curiosity gets people killed. He met her gaze. Only if it's not returned. They set out before dawn, Ra driving faster than necessary across the salt flats. Danny held the scanner, watching the readings grow clearer with each passing kilometer. Metallic signatures ahead. Vehicle columns, camps, heat trace. Reavers. They stopped just before the first ridge, covered the bike with a thermal tarp and loose salt pan dust. Danny crouched beside Ra, looking out over the valley below. 2 trucks, 4 bikes, cargo skiff in the middle. Looks like a mobile salvage crew. Armed? She asked. He zoomed in. Heavy carbines, tripod mounted. No anti-armor, though. Perfect, she muttered. We hit them fast. Quiet. Danny glanced at her. No backup, no second chance. I never need one. They slid down the ridge on their stomachs, peelant as shadows. Danny placed a sonic mine at the rear pass between the truck trails, angled for maximum shock dispersion. He set the timer. 30 seconds. Then he slipped into position. Ra was already moving. She counted guards, 1 at the cargo bay, 2 at the skiff, 1 pacing near the trucks. Danny tapped twice on the comm. Ra's answer was a whisper. Copy. Danny waited until the guard passed his position. Then he rose. The knife went in clean, the body crumpling into his arms without a sound. He dragged it behind a crate and took the Reaver's radio, tuning it to static. Ra's silhouette flickered at the edge of his vision. She darted forward and dropped a second guard with a silent shot to the temple. The sonic mine went off like a god's cough. Ra broke cover, sprinting across the flats toward the last guard. Danny fired twice. The camp went silent. Ra climbed onto the platform, scanning it for cargo. Danny joined her, heartbeat still racing. Inside the hold, they found 2 crates of rail shells, black market med packs, and a case of coded data tablets, Reaver logs. Well? He asked. She looked at the data tablets, then at him. This wasn't just salvage, she said. This was a delivery. They were moving intel. She opened the first tablet, her gloved fingers flying over the decryption keys. Her face changed. Basalt Ravine, she said. Danny's chest tightened. I've heard of it. Canyon base, half underground, half fortress. No one's cracked it. She turned the screen toward him. Until now. The map on the tablet showed tunnel networks, guard rotations, fuel depot schematics, even a labeled command tier. Then he noticed the final tag. Launch sequence authorization codes pending. He read aloud. They're moving something. Not just moving, Ra said. Deploying. Danny stared at her. Do we go now? No, she said, not yet. She pulled another crate from the skiff and dropped it open. Uniforms. We're going in disguised. Danny blinked. You think we can bluff our way into a Reaver stronghold? She smiled. I don't bluff, she said. A cell. They burned the rest of the camp, destroyed the vehicles, and dumped the bodies in a sand pit. The sun was rising high by the time they reached the safe zone marked on Ra's map. Inside a sheltered cave, it was cooler. Danny checked their gear, while Ra stripped off her vest and unsnapped her armor, revealing a fitted undersuit soaked with sweat. She peeled it halfway off and knelt beside the fire kit, still catching her breath. Danny tried not to stare. Go ahead, she said without looking up. I can feel it. He looked away. Just making sure you're not dying. I'll die when I'm ready, she said, tying her hair back. You ever let anyone help you? No, she said. That's why I'm still alive. He sat beside her. You're not alone now. For a second, she didn't answer. You say that like it's a good thing. It is, Danny said, for both of us. Ra turned her head. You're dangerous when you mean it, she whispered. Danny met her gaze. And you're lethal when you pretend you don't care. By sunrise, they were on the move again. No more bike. They left it buried under salt-stained canvas and marched east across fractured ridges where wind had carved deep veins into the rock. Danny stopped, crouched low, brushed a boot print with his fingers. Someone else came through here, he muttered. Ra joined him, eyes narrowing. How long ago? Couple hours, maybe less. Too heavy for locals, carrying weight. She scanned the horizon. Reavers, or someone running from them. Then we follow, she said, already stepping past him. Danny smirked. You always take the lead, don't you? She shot him a glance over her shoulder. You always question the woman with the gun. Only when she's also got the map. You mean this? She asked, holding up his data pad, which she'd clearly swiped when he wasn't looking. Danny blinked. Seriously? How long? 3 clicks ago. He laughed, shaking his head. You ever consider therapy? Only for the people who try to follow me. Then he saw it just over the rise, a small forward camp, half hidden behind collapsed ore trucks. Ra crouched beside him, peering through the scope of her rifle. One guard. Rest inside. Danny studied the setup. They're not Reavers. How do you know? Because they suck at hiding. Ra smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. Maybe they want to be found. She started forward, but Danny caught her wrist. Wait. He pointed to the far side of the camp, a boot half buried in gravel, a trail of blood dragging into one of the tents. Split approach? He asked. She nodded. South side. I'll distract. You sure? She looked at him like he'd just offered to carry her rifle. Cute that you still ask. It went down quiet. Danny slipped around back. Ra sauntered in from the front like she belonged there. The guard saw her and stood, mouth half open, confused. She didn't even raise her weapon. I'm looking for your boss, she said. Or are you the boss? The guard didn't answer. Danny reached him from behind and hit him with a stun burst. The man crumpled silently. Show off, Ra muttered, as Danny stepped beside her. Teamwork, he said, and nodded toward the largest tent. Inside, they found the source of the blood trail. A Reaver. He was strapped to a metal cot with industrial cable, hands bound, lips split, and a woman standing over him. She looked up when they entered. Who the hell? You first, Ra snapped, raising her rifle. The woman didn't flinch. I'm Zay. This bastard used to be my handler. I've been following his crew for months. Danny stepped closer. You're not Reaver. Zay shook her head. Her skin was a paler blue than Ra's, almost silver in the tent's dim light. Used to run salvage. He hijacked my crew 2 months back. I finally caught him yesterday. You got answers yet? Danny asked. Zay snorted. None that makes sense. He kept muttering about a launch. Something called Phase Delta. Ra moved forward, her expression gone ice cold. Show me. Zay handed over a cracked data pad. Same target, same nightmare. Then this is real, Danny muttered. They're prepping a launch, Zay nodded. Big one. How big? Ra asked. Zay hesitated. City killer, busy. Ra didn't speak. Danny stepped beside her, said nothing, just waited. She finally turned to Zay. We're taking your prisoner. We're heading to the ravine. If you want in, earn your keep. Zay blinked. You're going in? Ra nodded. Deep. Zay looked at both of them. Then you'll need help getting close. Danny raised an eyebrow. You offering? She smiled, all teeth. I've got clearance codes. Dead techs ones. They'll hold up under casual scans. Ra's voice was sharp. And why should we trust you? Because, Zay said, gesturing at the bound Reaver. I hate them more than you do. Ra stared at her for a long beat, then nodded once. Pack your gear. That night, Ra stared into the darkness. They burned my colony alive, she said, voice flat as gravel. Started with the water reserves, nuked the pumps from orbit, watched the fires take hold. Danny didn't speak, just listened. They didn't need the people, she went on. Didn't want survivors. Just cleared the land for a fuel depot. She swallowed hard. I came back 2 days later. The only thing left standing was a child's swing, still squeaking. She blinked hard. They killed my mother, my brothers, my uncle, my teacher, my bondmate. Danny blinked. You were bonded? For 2 months, she said. Then they came. Danny leaned back, arms across his knees. They hit a refugee ship I was guarding last cycle, he said quietly. We were just supposed to escort them to orbit. 2 Reaver raiders punched through the line. When I woke up, my squad was gone. She looked at him. They left the kids, he said, lined up against a bulkhead wall, shot through the chest one after the other. Ra's hand found his. They sat like that for a while. Then Ra exhaled slowly. I've never told anyone that, she admitted. I think. He paused. You think Zay's legit? Danny shrugged. She hates Reavers enough to bleed for it. That's enough for now. Still think she's hiding something. He nodded. But if we kill everyone who hides things, we'll be the only ones left alive. Ra smirked faintly. Speak for yourself. Danny tilted his head toward her. I meant what I said earlier. You're not alone. Temporary alliances don't count. I'm not talking about the mission. She looked at him. Then what are you talking about? Danny hesitated. Then slowly he reached into his inner vest and pulled out a small black tag. He passed it to her. Ra turned it over in her hand. R601 Riker D. The back was etched with something hand-carved. Leave no one. She looked at him. I pulled that off my brother's body, he said, before we burned what was left. I kept it because I knew I'd lose my way without it. She handed it back gently. I haven't had anything left worth carrying in years, she said. Danny met her gaze. You do now. For a long time, neither of them looked away. The next morning broke cold and sharp. Zay was up early, boiling filtered water over a recharged fuel cell. Ra packed in silence. Danny scanned the skies. They had less than 48 hours. The trek into the canyon was rough. At the final ridge, they looked down on the edge of Basalt Ravine. The Reaver base lay beneath them, cut into volcanic rock like a knife wound. Heavy vehicles moved along metal platforms. Spotlights tracked across towers, and in the center, a silo, sealed, guarded. That's not a comm tower, Ra said. No, Zay agreed. That's a launch pipe. Danny adjusted his visor. Then let's break something before they open it. That night, they camped in a cave mouth above the canyon. Ra reached out and let her fingers close over Danny's. If I'm going to die, it's not going to be before I kill the bastard who lit my world on fire. Danny nodded once. We'll get him. You're not what I expected, she said. Danny looked at her. Neither are you. She smirked faintly. You should have peeked when you had the chance. I'm still peeking, he said. That earned a real laugh. Dawn was a smear of gray over the rocks, the ski still bruised with sleep. They didn't speak as they packed. The plan was already etched into their minds. Move fast. Stay quiet. Get inside the base. Find the warhead. End the operation. Ra kept glancing over her shoulder as they descended the black slope toward a fracture in the basalt wall. It ran like a knife blade between sheer cliffs, winding and twisting in sharp angles. Locals called it the Needle Crease. It was the last covert route to the ravine's heart, and it was perfect for an ambush. The first shot came from above. A pulse bolt cracked into the rock 6 inches from Danny's head, vaporizing a strip of stone and sending them diving for cover. "Top wall!" Ra shouted, rolling behind a ledge. Danny flanked right, hugging the cliff face, drawing his carbine. A second bolt flashed, then a third, closer. Zay fired back, pinning one of the reavers behind an outcropping. But 2 more appeared on a high ridge, rifles mounted, triangulating fire. Danny scanned. No drones. This wasn't recon. It was cleanup. "They were waiting for us," he growled. "No," Rusty snapped. "They were waiting for someone." Danny risked a glance, then ducked as a bolt scorched the edge of his vest. "Care to explain?" She yanked a throwing blade free, kissed the hilt, then hurled it. It struck clean. "They tagged your drop route," she said. "They followed your old heat trail back to this route, knew someone would come." Danny didn't argue. Just lined up a shot and took the legs out from under another reaver. He fell screaming. Ra moved like lightning, leaping onto the ledge. 2 shots to the last shooter's chest before he could pivot. Eichlins slammed down. Zay exhaled. "That's the welcoming committee." "No," Ra said, crouching over one of the bodies. "That was just the scouts." Danny led, rifle forward, pace steady. Zay stayed middle. Ra took rear, eyes scanning every overhead shadow, like a hawk with a grudge. Halfway through, Danny stopped. A noise. He turned just as the reavers dropped in. 3 of them. 1 crashing into Zay, the other 2 slamming into Ra. Danny pivoted, elbowed the first across the face, ducked a swing, and slammed the butt of his rifle into the reaver's gut. He dropped his weapon, so Danny grabbed the attacker by the collar and drove him backward into the wall. The man gasped as ribs cracked. Then the knife came out. Danny barely twisted in time. The blade nicked his side just under the vest. "Danny!" Ross shouted. He slammed the attacker's head into the rock twice, 3 times. Blood sprayed. The man went limp. Danny spun, blood seeping through his shirt. Ra was tangled with her attacker. The second reaver had Zay pinned. Danny didn't hesitate. He charged, knocked the reaver off Zay with a full body tackle, rolled, and came up with the fallen man's own sidearm. 2 shots, 1 in the neck, 1 in the chest. Dead. He turned just as Ra flipped her attacker into the wall and drove her elbow into his throat. Pestilence returned. Danny staggered against the rock, pressing a hand to his side. Ra crossed to him west. "Let me see." "I'm good," he said through gritted teeth. "Don't be stupid." She pushed him to that. She knelt, unzipped his vest, pulled the cloth aside. "You're lucky," she muttered. "Half an inch deeper, you'd be dead." "Guess I like flirting with the line." Ra tore open a med patch, pressed it to the wound. "You keep flirting, I'll put a bolt through your knee." Danny smirked. "Wouldn't be the first time a woman got violent when I bled for her." She rolled her eyes, but her fingers trembled slightly as she patched him up. They made it through the rest of the crease in silence. They found a ledge just outside sensor range, dropped gear, checked weapons. Danny leaned against the stone. Ra stepped up beside him. "You always play hero?" He shook his head. "Only when the alternative's worse." "You didn't hesitate. I knew you'd win your fight." "That's not what I meant." Danny turned to her. "You went straight into the line for me," she said. "Twice. I'd do it again." Ra's eyes searched his face. Then, without a word, she reached up and brushed a smear of blood from his cheek with her thumb. He caught her wrist gently. "You don't have to do this," he said. "I know," she whispered. And then she kissed him. It was fast, fierce, hungry. His hand went to her waist, hers tangled in his vest, their bodies crushed together, like they were both trying to make the other disappear into them. When they finally broke apart, they were both breathless. Her voice dropped to a low whisper. "We could die tomorrow." "I know. I don't want regrets." Danny met her eyes. Then don't have any. Ra pulled him in again, slower this time. The approach to the service hatch was surgical. Ra led, her steps ghost quiet over gravel and steel piping. Danny flanked, covering the rear. Zay moved between them, wiring the passcodes into a stolen access panel with silent precision. They bypassed 2 surveillance cams and took out a lone technician who wandered too close. Zay shot him in the throat before he could scream. Ra dragged the body behind an old vent shaft. Danny wiped his blade on a cloth and didn't speak. Zay popped the hatch with a hiss of pressure. They descended into darkness. They moved fast, turned left, right, then stopped. Voice. 2 guards standing beside a junction box, chatting about coolant quotas and ration disputes. Ra didn't hesitate. She surged forward like a shadow unhooked from the wall. The first guard turned. Her blade found his throat. The second reached for his comm. Danny shot him once in the chest, once in the forehead. Clean. They dragged the bodies into a hatch allieve and pressed on. 10 minutes later, the tunnel widened. The walls shimmered in the dim light, reflecting movement, like a hall of ghosts. Ahead, a massive lift platform descended from above, hauling a stacked crate of warhead components into the chamber's lower bay. Ra swore under her breath. That's the delivery cycle. Danny's stomach turned. They're prepping launch. Zay crouched by a console, fingers flying across the keys. I can spoof our tags for 6 minutes, maybe. After that, we get scanned for bio-ID. Which means, Ra said, we need disguises. She glanced to the far corner of the room, where 2 techs stood inspecting an oxygen seal. Ra turned to Danny. You thinking what I'm thinking? Grab uniforms, stay quiet. Walk in like we belong. Wrong, she said. Then she kissed him. He barely had time to react before she shoved him against the pipe and tangled a hand in his collar, grinding against him like they were mid-tryst. The 2 techs looked up, laughed, rolled their eyes, walked on. Danny blinked. Ra stepped back. I'll distract, she said. You grab the tags. 2 minutes later, they had fresh jumpsuits, 2 functional Reaver ID badges, and a stolen crate they could use as cover. Inside the base, everything reeked of oil, fuel, and blood. The corridors were black glass tunnels lit by red track lights that pulsed like arteries. The further they went, the fewer civilians they saw. Zay whispered directions as they passed checkpoints. No sudden moves, she hissed. Cameras everywhere. At sublevel 3, they found the main server vault guarded by a biometric scanner and 2 bored soldiers playing dice near the door. Zay pulled back. We can't shoot. They'll hear it. Danny eyed the dice. So we play. 10 minutes later, Danny was at the dice table, betting his last month's creds on a triple spin win. The guards laughed, swore, and kept drinking. Zay slipped to the rear conduit, popped a panel, and looped the biometric readout through a bypass coil. Ra stepped up beside Danny and wrapped her arm around his waist. You lose again. I walk, she said loudly, her voice full of venomous tease. Danny smirked and rolled the dice. They clattered to a stop. The guards groaned. Ra kissed his cheek. One guard hooted. Lucky bastard, Danny winked. She's worth every credit. The server door unlocked behind them. They were in. Zay went to work, plugging in the cracked data pad from the earlier cache. The system responded with a chirp, decrypting streams of files. Danny and Ra scanned for surveillance. Then he caught it on a side screen. A warhead schematic marked with serials traced back to Earth. Manufactured military surplus. Stolen off a Terran transport 3 years ago. Danny stared. The Reavers hadn't just built their own bomb. They'd stolen one of Earth's. Ra leaned closer. Launch vector shows. Frontier City. Yarrow's Gate. Civilians. Zay's voice was tight. You've got 20 minutes. Then the lockdown kicks in. Ra's eyes burned. Then we blow this place before they get the chance. Danny nodded. You get the charges. I'll find the warhead bay. She grabbed his wrist before he could turn. Hey! He looked back. You still with me? He didn't flinch. Now and always. Danny stood with his back to the warhead schematic, still flickering on the monitor. He turned to Ra. She hadn't moved. She just stared at the launch vector. The targeting data etched across the bottom of the screen like a countdown. There was a blinking red tag beneath it. T minus 23 hours 47 minutes. The warhead was real. It was live, and it was almost ready. Ra's jaw was clenched so tight it made Herdy's temple twitch. Her hand hovered near her belt like she was still hunting something to blow. Yarrow's Gate, she muttered. Danny stepped beside her. You know it? She didn't answer right away. Then, my family had friends there. After Lyra fell, some of the survivors settled in that city. One of them was my little cousin. Her name was Jessa. She used to braid flowers into her hair. She said she wanted to be a soldier someday. Like me. Danny swallowed hard. Ra's voice dropped. If this thing drops, she said, no one will survive. That valley isn't built for impact. It'll flatten everything, scorch the air, strip the soil. Zay turned from her console. We can't stop the launch from here. The codes are hard-locked on the warhead's local system. We have to reach the silo directly. How do we get there? Danny asked. She pulled up a schematic. Access tunnel on sublevel 5 leads directly to the fuel cradle and warhead chamber, but it's sealed from this side. Only way in is through the command lift, main deck. Let me guess, Ra said deadpan. Surrounded by guards. Zay grinned. Dozens. Danny ran a hand through his hair. We're going to need to cause a scene. Zay turned back to the terminal. I can do that. Overload the coolant valves on this floor, Zay explained. It'll trigger a fire containment drill. Most of the crew will evacuate or shift stations. That gives you maybe 7 minutes to get through the main shaft. Danny looked to Ra. 7 minutes to get in, plant charges, and escape. Ra nodded. Easy. 15 minutes later, the fire alarm screamed. Red lights pulsed across the corridor walls. Danny and Ra moved like shadows. No one questioned them in their Reaver uniforms. Everyone else was too busy panicking. They passed the security checkpoint with stolen access tags and a distracted nod from a fleeing technician. The lift to sublevel 5 was unguarded. Danny stabbed the control. It dropped fast like the base itself wanted them to fall. As it descended, Ra glanced over at him. Her voice was low. This is the part where we don't screw up. Danny gave a wry smile. Thought that was every part. Yeah, but this one counts more. The doors opened. The warhead sat on a rotating lift platform 20 meters high, surrounded by scaffolding and glowing with hazard stripes. Cables snaked across the floor like veins. Engineers in insulated suits buzzed around it, calibrating fuel tanks, aligning the launch rails. They hadn't triggered full lockdown yet. Ra scanned the scaffolding, then grabbed Danny's arm and yanked him behind a column. We'll climb, she said. Plant the charges around the vertical support struts. Enough heat will set off a chain reaction with the cradle. Danny opened his satchel. I've got 3 microcharges, shaped burn. She nodded. 2 at the base, 1 high. That'll cut the load spine. I go high, Danny said. No, Ra shot back. He stared at her. Ra, you already got hit once today. I'm faster, cleaner. She didn't argue. Ra vanished into the scaffolding like a wraith. Danny took the lower path, ducking under crossbeams, planting the first charge beneath the primary stabilizer. He pressed the arm sequence, set the timer. 10 minutes. Ra planted the second, then climbed higher. She pulled the third charge from her belt. clicked it into place, and a rifle safety disengaged behind her. Ra, Frissy. A reaver. You're too late. No, the man said. I'm early. Danny was still below. Too far. Couldn't see her. Ra slowly lifted her hands. The reaver climbed a step closer. Who do you work for? No one. You think we don't have sensors? You think we didn't notice a rogue trace from that old Lyrian ID? You're a ghost, but not ghost enough. He stepped closer, and that's when Ra moved. She spun, kicked the rifle off his shoulder, drove her elbow into his neck, and drove them both off the platform. They crashed to the scaffolding below. She hit hard, rolled, came up bleeding from the arm. The reaver tried to rise. Danny tackled him, fists pounding. Danny slammed him into the beam once, twice, until he stopped moving. Blood pooled between the steel grates. Ra groaned, clutching her arm. You good? He said, breath ragged. Nothing broken, she hissed. Maybe my pride. He grabbed her shoulder, steadied her. You did it? She nodded. All 3 charges set. Danny reached up, cradled the side of her face. You scared the hell out of me. Yeah, she whispered. I scared myself. They ran. Zay was waiting near the upper lift, hacking into the escape route override. 3 minutes until autoseal, she shouted. We need to be gone. Ra and Danny didn't stop. They hit the lift. The doors slammed shut. They shot upward back into the main corridor, just as the base rumbled behind them. A low whine filled the air. Zay peeled off her goggles, grinning. You did it. You actually did it. Danny exhaled, laughing once. Then he turned to Ra. Blood ran down her arm from a deep slice beneath the shoulder joint. She hadn't said a word about it. He pulled her close, sat her down, tore open his med pack. You should have told me. I didn't want you distracted. I'm always distracted when you were bleeding. He cleaned the wound, wrapped it tight. She gritted her teeth. Then she looked up at him, sweat on her brow, lashes dark, eyes wild with adrenaline and pain. And she kissed him again. Danny didn't pull away, not even when she whispered, I'm not used to being scared. He pulled her forehead to his. I'm not used to being this alive. Zay hovered near the vault terminal, lips tight. There's something else, she said. On the Reaver mainframe. Ra turned. What? Zay hesitated. They are keeping prisoners, Lyrians, lower deck medical wing test subjects. Silence. Then Ra stood. We get them out, she said flatly. Ra, Danny said, voice low. We don't have time. I don't care. Danny held her gaze, then nodded once. Lead the way. The lower medical base stank of antiseptic and fear. 2 guards. Silent takedown. Inside, 5 Lyrian prisoners, all blue-skinned like Ra and Zay. Zay popped the lock. Ra stepped in. The youngest girl gasped, eyes wide. Are you here to help? Ra didn't speak. She knelt, extended her hand. The girl took it. That was enough. They escaped through a maintenance chute. As the base alarms flared again outside, in the shadow of the collapsing ridge, they collapsed on the rocks. Ra bleeding, Danny still carrying the smallest child, the others crowding under thermal wraps. You were right, she whispered. Danny looked at her. About what? I needed to come back for someone, not just revenge. He kissed her forehead. You're not who you were. She closed her eyes. No, she said. I'm better. Smoke curled from the shattered vent shafts below. Danny and Ra moved ahead side by side. The launch gantry rose like a skeleton from the ravine floor. Black steel against the blood-red skyway. The fuel cells still hissed with pressure. Cables twitched like nerves. And at the edge of the platform waiting, Captain Ricky. Took you long enough, he sneered. I was hoping to kill you before you ruined everything. Ra didn't stop walking. Danny flanked wide, silent. Ricky noticed, laughed once. Still hiding behind humans, Ra. No, she said calmly. This one walks beside me. Ricky stepped closer, jamming the pistol under her chin. I remember your bondmate, he growled. Cried like a dog when we took the water plant. You were too late to save her. Just like you'll be too late to stop this. Danny's voice cut in sharp. You're already stopped. He flashed a small mirror, angled just right. A sniper laser winked across Ricky's chest from the hills beyond. Ricky turned just enough. Ross slammed her forehead into his nose. He staggered. She twisted his pistol away, elbowed him hard in the gut, and kicked his knee sideways. He dropped, roaring in pain. Danny stepped in, tossed her the last charge. Here, Danny said. You wanted to light the world on fire. She armed it, then kicked Ricky off the gantry. The explosion came fast. Danny grabbed Ra. They dove into a slag runoff chute, sliding as the whole launch tower detonated above them in a ribbon of flame. They hit the dirt hard. Ra peeled off her ruined breastplate, breathing fast. Danny looked at her, still a little stunned, still very much alive. You okay? He asked. She nodded. Still peeking? She said, voice low. Danny smirked, still mesmerized. She stepped in close, fingertips trailing his collar. The world ends in 2 hours, she whispered. Or begins. Which do you want, Danny? He didn't hesitate. You. Now. Tomorrow. Whenever we're still breathing. Then their kiss was fierce. Ra sat back, breath ragged, watching the fire rise. Didn't think we'd make it out. Danny grinned, blood dried at the corner of his mouth. Still think we won't. She looked over at him, then burst out laughing. He leaned back beside her, shoulder to shoulder, and for a minute, they didn't speak. Just listened to the wind pushing smoke across the high cliffs. 3 days later, Danny Riker stood beside the skimmer ramp, one hand on the hatch, the other tucked into his belt. His vest was faded, his boots scuffed to hell, but he stood straight. Ra Talon walked up behind him. You're clear for HQ. They offered you command. Turned it down, he said simply. She raised an eyebrow. Why? Got a better offer. Commander Brian stood near the skimmer, arms folded, watching them. He was giving Danny one last chance. Clean contract, command post back at HQ, pay, long-term security. Danny didn't hesitate. I've got a better offer. Brian just nodded. Didn't even try to talk him out of it, because he saw it too. The way they moved like two pieces of the same weapon. Worn, imperfect, but perfect together. The skimmer lifted slow, dust trailing behind as it sliced across the dunes. Ra sat in the co-pilot seat, legs propped up, blue skin glowing in the sunlight filtering through the cockpit guys. Danny flew, eyes forward, one hand on the throttle, one hand in hers. Neither spoke for a long time. Then she whispered, You know where we're going? Not exactly. That worry you? He glanced at her. No, she said. We make our own map now. And as the desert spread out wide beneath the morning sky, they flew toward it, free together.